Hello Logic Language Learners, welcome back, or welcome for the first time if this is your first visit to the channel. So today's lesson is focusing on listening. Okay, now I've taught this lesson this week. I've done a week about get and a week about listening to all of my students that are intermediate coming on to advanced. Okay, and this is a really important tool to get, particularly when you're using my method, okay? And it's fantastic that some of you that I work with are really getting comfortable. I'm still thinking of get from the other video, who are becoming comfortable with speaking, and that's great. And that you are comfortable going into all of the different tense systems and all of the different patterns, that is great, okay? And you've got the shortcuts that you know. Yeah, like the A, the soft hard, the A for the was, ré for the will, ray for the would, was in the middle for the had, soft and hard, find the hard plus explode for the was, hard for the subjunctive plus eon plus ea if it's not an A verb. All of these kind of things mean something to you now. But what we really need to make sure is that when someone's speaking to you in French, that you can process the information in the same way. Because, as I always stress, language is not about facts and knowledge. You might think you know the word, and I wish I'd recorded the 5 odd sessions I've done of this week with sort of Demond and David and other people that I've been teaching, who are now really getting good. But what happens is that they think they know that word, they can summon this word out of the vaults, out of the cellar, when they need to go into French. When they're hearing the same word in French, you'd be amazed. You can know a word to say, but you haven't necessarily done it listening. So here are the rules for conquering that. In one video, how can we increase your listening potential in French? So, first things first. When you speak, I keep pushing this use of the vowel. Push the use of the vowel. Find the middle of the word. Okay, so if you were struggling to hear me in English, I would make my English clearer and I would use more of my consonants to do this, okay? But that sounds dumb. Let's be honest, okay? But the fact is, in French, if somebody were talking at you more, they would be using more vowel and it would all get linked up. So instead of hunting for the when you listen, hunt for the vowel when you listen. That sounds counterintuitive, that sounds to the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing, but I promise you that will help. So listen to the melody of what's going on. Ooh, ah, ooh, ee, ooh. Listen to where the vowels are going, okay? Vowels give us everything. Je mange, to listen to, needs to be distinguished from j'ai mangé. So if you're just listening to je me, j'ai mangé, they're pretty identical. So I need to listen to je mange or j'ai mangé. I need to hear. So that would be one, listen to the vowels. Number 2, okay? Think of your systems in reverse. So if I gave you I speak and I am speaking, you would all say, right, I speak, je parle, I am speaking, je parle. I spoke, I have spoken, same system, j'ai parlé. And you're all very good now, those of you that I work with directly or those whose homework I get sent, are doing that. But if you heard je parle or you heard j'ai parlé, it's up to you to choose which one you're going to use in English, isn't it? Because you've got 2 options. So the trick here is, number 1, if it makes sense to you and you hear have in the middle or, you know, you hear an auxiliary, your mind just needs to think past in French. I don't care if the English doesn't come to you straight away. I'm using English to check that you can understand me when I'm talking, but as long as the meaning makes sense to you, why go into English? But if you are required for work, as many of you are, struggling with English today, as many of you are, to translate into English, then how are you translating that? You have a choice. So, il me parle could be, he speaks to me at the moment. He is speaking to me, il me parle. You've got the choice. Elle m'a parlé could be, oh, she spoke to me or she has spoken to me recently. Elle m'a parlé récemment, she's spoken to me recently. So you need to make the choice. The same if you are here. So this is about the recognition of the tense and also about what choice you're going to go in English. So if you hear il a or nous avons, you're hearing the auxiliary, you know it's in that tense. Likewise, number 3, with the words in the imperfect. You know that you've got the A sound, okay? You know you've got the A sound. So if you're hearing vin je mangeais, you're hearing 2 beats. So if I asked you to say I was speaking, those of you who have worked with me would go, right, 2 fingers for the was. So listening, although this sounds incredibly obvious, I guarantee this will cause problems. When people hear je mangeais, the amount of times I hear I eat or I ate, I was eating, I used to eat, or I ate, admittedly. You can rarely, for the imperfect, translate it as the simple. So you need to be listening to how many words you're hearing. Next point, number 4, the same with the future and the conditional. If you are hearing r, no, so let's reverse the system. If I asked you to say I will or I would, you now know to hunt out for the R. So you know, for example, I will eat, je mangerai. He will eat, il mangera. We will eat, nous mangerons, etc. You're using the re, ra, ron system for the future. And equally, for the would, the conditional, you are using re for everybody, apart from riant and riez. So when you're listening in a hurry, Luc me dira, you hear the re, you think, oh right, yeah, will say, Luc will say. The re, you are always going to think about the future, which is great, that's a good tactic to have. R is taking you into the future. But we also have that possibility of it being the would, don't we? So we need, when listening, to be thinking, hang on, the only person that can be A legitimately in the future is je mangerai. Anybody else being re, so les garçons mangeraient, le garçon mangerait, Luc mangerait, that would be would. Okay? Next thing, if you are hearing the subjunctive, you don't need to care, you just need to reorganize. So if you hear je veux que tu viennes, and you're probably likely to recognise these subjunctive verbs more in English because, unfortunately, you know, as much as I'm loath to admit, they're easier sometimes for you to pick up because they have a hard ending. So he wants me to sell, il veut que je vende. You are going to grab, being Anglophones, or speaking English better than your French currently if you're using these videos, you're going to grab hold of that vendre a lot more easily than if you had vend. Okay? So the subjunctive, you don't need to do anything. You just need to recognise and restructure. So il veut que je vende. He wants me to sell. Il veut que je mange. He wants me to eat. As long as you rearrange it. Be mindful that some of the subjunctives you're going to hear, fasse, puisse, sache, are not going to be sounds that you instinctively associate with a verb, so make sure you're hunting out for those. Make sure you've said them a few times when you say them yourself. Listen to yourself back so you associate this sound with that meaning, because as we say in language, it takes you to generate four productions of the sentence until it's firmly in, and to hear something on 3 separate occasions and to understand it until it is firmly in. So you just need to hear these things some more. Next thing, okay? Think about thought bubbles, as I call them. Yeah, little groups of language. Think about what comes before or after. Now this will do several things. Firstly, this will allow you to break it up into chunks rather than a big long line, because I wanted to tell you that we were going today. Naturally, we will divide things into little clusters of normally clauses with somebody with their verb, so a person and their verb, but also the notes, the melody of the sentence. I was saying that we should go because you would like it. Yeah, da 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 da, and that is going to help you think about this. Okay, this is going to help you listen to an individual sentence. So the context is everything. You're going to hear the same sounds again and again. A. Where do we hear A in French? Everywhere. Manger, verb. Vous mangez. J'ai mangé. Je mangeais. I was eating. Yeah. A as a sound anyway. I have. J'ai. A. He is. Il est. Subjunctive have, qu'il est. So it's all about what comes before and what comes after. And I know that sounds obvious, but you need to stop this. This means this, brick, 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 one brick at a time. You've got to think of it as a little block, okay? For example, yesterday I did this exercise with Demond, who coming along really nicely, and I said je viens d'aller à la gymnase, and he heard je viens, which is I come, la gymnase, the gym. So he made his own narrative. He made this I'm coming from the gym, and je viens d'aller as an expression is I come from going to the gym. In other words, I've just been to the gym. I've just gone to the gym. So these things change. Mal is badly. Yeah, it's a low plane. J'ai du mal à is I have difficulty. Je me suis fait mal is I've hurt myself. Ça fait mal is that hurts me. So mal could be used in all these different expressions. Yeah, so you've got to not just jump to conclusions when you're listening. And obviously, nouns often come out at you more easily to the Anglophone ear because they will often start with there'll be a nice crunchy, short sort of word. So we've got to be careful with that one, okay? So what can you do to improve your listening? What you can do to improve your listening is not even try and translate. I want you to find a resource. It could be me speaking in French. It could be somebody on the internet. I want you to press stop and start, and I want you to copy what you've heard. I don't even need you to be able to understand it. I need you to try and copy. So, for example, the guy says, je viens juste de m'acheter du pain. Je viens juste de m'acheter du pain. You just try, je viens juste de m'acheter. You try and follow it as much as you can, even if it's quick. Okay? You listen for different things. You listen for you try listening to the consonants, you try listening to the vowels, and I guarantee you will do better with the vowels going up and down. Next trick. You need to use a little bit of your own grammar. It fills in the gaps, same as it does in English. You would make sense of something in English if you heard you know what the sentence kind of could be, even if you didn't hear the whole thing. So, for example, yesterday I gave somebody, not Demond, I must stress, I gave them je suis content de parler. I asked them to copy me, and if I'd have given them I'm happy to speak, they would say je suis content de parler, no problem. They went je suis content du parler because they were just copying on sound, and I didn't say du, but they heard du. Their grammar should have known that we're going to say de parler. I'm happy to speak, je suis content de parler. Du, as you know, is from the. Yeah, de and le. So use your own grammar to fill in the gaps. Yeah, you won't necessarily hear the whole sentence, but if you hear something in that word order, it can only sometimes be certain things, okay? So what else should you do? Say your own work properly and slowly and on air, and then try and go faster and keep the air together and generate the kind of sound that you will be listening to. I always say, produce the sound you want to be able to understand. So instead of saying je suis allé à Paris, you say je suis allé à Paris. You go really long and blowy, and when people speak to you, je suis allé à Paris, all you will then get is an accelerated version of the links that you are already then familiar with. Okay, so that is a really important factor. Any sentence you say, obviously go through, work it out slowly. Like I said, stay in the previous word. So, je suis allé. I mean, I don't care how slow it is for the moment, but stay in the previous word. Keep making sound. Vocal fry, you call it, just noise. Il va manger. Yeah, rather than il va manger, or even worse, wait in silence until you've got the whole thing and then say it. So the fact is, say it this way, your ear will then become more accustomed to hearing the liaison. You will know what that means because you've done liaisons, so you will then hear them better. Okay, so that's my other piece of advice. So I really hope this video has been useful. I'm going to record next time I do one of these sound listening sessions so you can see the mistakes people make, even really good speakers when they first get onto listening properly. So I hope that's been fantastically useful. Do please let me know, and I'll speak to you guys soon.